Okay, this is video number 2. This one is for Henry the Fourth Part 1. Pre-class video notes. There's less decoration around me, so you'll be less distracted, and instead just look at me and my face and my voice. Look at my voice. I see a voice. Okay. Idea 1. Core idea 1 is I think what I want to say is honor is one of the things that makes life worth living. Yes. So the way I come to that, as being a core idea in Henry IV Part 1, is first of all, honor is of no use to dead men. Falstaff says this. And I think it's apparent in Hotspur. Yeah, so Falstaff says it explicitly, but Falstaff kind of lives it out. Falstaff. Well, no, not Falstaff. Hotspur. I get those names mixed up. Hotspur says, or is offered, peace and forgiveness and everything he wants, basically, if he would just stop fighting and listen to the king. And he says, no way. I'm going to die. I'm going to die, I'll die merrily. It doesn't matter, even though my army is too small to even have a chance of winning, compared to the huge army of Henry IV. He's so riled up from the thought that he would have been able to win, and he's so riled up for the thought of honor, because all the bad things that Henry has done to him and his family, forsaking them, he feels like it'd be dishonorable not to fight this fight, and so he's willing to fight to the death. But he dies, and that's it. And his quest is failed, and he is it's definitely worth considering whether he dies honored or dishonored. I haven't really thought of that. Let's just assume that he's like super honored. Like everyone's like, oh man, look at that honorable dead guy. It doesn't matter because he's dead. This kind of goes way back to Aeneid. Aeneas. Wait, is that right? No. Odyssey. Achilles says, better to be a slave living than the prince of hell, basically. And so all honor in the world counts for nothing when you're dead. Particularly when you've been killed sooner than you would have. So, like, honor after you're dead might actually be worth something. But giving up time of life for honor is considered ridiculous. Falstaff says this, and it just seems to be kind of a general thing of the play. One of the things that's wrong with Hotspur is that he doesn't value his own life. He values honor more than his life, and that's stupid, because it won't last. So that's part 1. Part 2 is life is detestable when you don't have honor. You can see this in Falstaff himself, not from what he says, but the way he lives. He lives without honor. He's willing to lie at any moment. He steals and stuff, and by the end of the play, he pretty much gets what he wants. But he doesn't have honor, and he doesn't want honor, but he doesn't have it, and he is considered detestable by everyone. Like, the only person that doesn't think he's like totally gross and fat is, well, actually everyone thinks he's gross and fat, and he's just, you don't want to be Falstaff, because Falstaff is a loser. Even though he gets what he wants, he doesn't have honor, and what is life without honor? Because everyone's going to forget him in the end, and he's caught up in the sensuous pleasures, but life is more than just sensuous pleasures. There are other pleasures too, such as the pleasure of having honor. So these things together. Honor is of no use to dead men, but life is pretty much no good without honor. It means that honor makes life worth living. I had the analogy, but yeah, okay. It's like honor is like a really awesome hat. And everyone that sees a guy wearing the hat says he's awesome, and he's like, wow, I'm really glad I'm alive because I have this hat. But it's not worth chopping off your own head to get the hat, because then you can't even wear it. You want to be able to both be alive and have the hat, and that's what Harry does. Harry goes from not having honor when his life is super lame, and he does this tactic to be able to increase his honor by not having it for a while, which is fine, but he ends up really going for honor. Like, he's still, the end goal is honor. And just like his father, chastises him for this, but it's not because, in the end, because his father doesn't really know his plan. He says, you should be seeking honor, you should be trying to win over the people, you should be trying to be popular, and he is. Harry is trying to be popular. It's just he's using a different strategy. But in the end, he's going for the same thing, and he manages to be alive at the end of play and to have huge amounts of honor, probably even more honor than Hotspur. So seek honor, but not at the cost of your life, because what good is it then? Nothing. Core idea 2 is there's a lot of references to time in the play, I noticed, and it seems like everyone's running out of time, or the timing's not right. So I want to say that core idea 2, time is not on anyone's side, but it's especially not on the side of the reckless and the base. Hotspur, one of the reasons he ends up losing is because his father-in-law, or no, someone else's father-in-law, is not able to come to the battle on time. The timing's not right for him being able to win, and he's reckless because he's not willing to wait. I don't know if he can wait, actually, but because he's doing this dangerous thing of overriding the existing rule, he's less able to wait. Time is against him because he's doing this dangerous thing. So there's that. And then this kind of wraps up with the other core idea too, is that for the base, such as Falstaff, their glory days, or the days that they're alive, when they die, because they have no honor, they'll be completely forgotten. Like, no one remembers Falstaff except for that Shakespeare immortalized him. If you actually were to meet Falstaff, you would want to forget him, and as soon as he's dead, everyone would forget him pretty much instantly. So time is against them because, of course, every day you come closer to your death. So time is not on anyone's side, but especially not on the side of the reckless and base. It's not really on the side of Henry V, Harry, but he manages to escape its clutches for a while by not doing dangerous things that he doesn't have to, while still doing what's necessary to gain honor, so that he will be remembered positively in ages to come. Okay, this is taking too much time to talk about that, but I'm going to try to wrap up with synthesis. When you say the king should stoop, you're saying that he doesn't deserve to be king, because a king is a thing that is unstooping, like doesn't bow to anyone. So if you say the king should bow, you're saying basically that he should not be king. And the reason why you say he should stoop reveals your definition of what it is to deserve to rule. So just going back to 1st and 2nd Samuel, David never says that Saul should bow to him, or should, in any sense of the word, do what David says. Like, even when he cuts off the corner of his robe, he says, like, he gives a bunch of advice and suggestions for why it's such a stupid idea for him to be chasing after David, but he doesn't order him to. He never says, look, I have more men than you do. Do this or I will kill you. He never says that. He just gives very strong suggestions, but he never says bow to me. That's because David thinks that Saul deserves to rule, because what it means to deserve to rule is to be appointed by God. And that's something that can't be taken away by man. God will take away Saul being a god chosen when he sees fit, and not when David sees fit. So David never says that to Saul, and Saul never even considers bowing to anyone. I don't think. So in Richard II, Richard also never says this of himself. He says, "I will never stoop to anyone ever." Even when he's giving the crown over, it's kind of ironically or sarcastically, or kind of like, this isn't actually a thing. Like, it's still my throne. You will sit on Richard's throne until the day I die. Because he believes himself to be appointed by God as well, and that's something that can't be taken away ever until the day of your death. But Henry IV, Bolingbroke says that Richard should stoop, like he orders him to do something. He says, "You will restore my inheritance, or I'll kill you," basically, because Henry thinks that Richard has done wrong and threatens to continue to do wrong, and Henry thinks that that's just cause to say that he does not deserve to be king. Therefore, Henry thinks that what it means to deserve to rule is to be doing right, or at least the king has to be doing right if he's to deserve to continue to rule. And Richard, according to Henry, isn't doing that. Therefore, he does not deserve to rule. Therefore, Henry feels justified in ordering him to do something. And Henry, in Henry IV Part 1, offers actually to in a way bow to his enemies before the climactic battle at the end of Part 1, because he offers to give a full pardon and to give them everything that they want, basically. He says, like, anything that I've wronged you, any debt I have, the idea that a king could have a debt, for one thing, makes it clear that Henry, I think it makes it clear that Henry doubts that he actually deserves to rule. He doesn't really consider himself a king in the same way that Richard II did. And I think this is either because he questions his placement as being divine, like he doesn't consider himself as being put in place by God. It seems like he never appeals to that, like Richard II did so often. Or maybe on top of that, or just instead of that, he thinks he did wrong in taking the throne. The way he took the throne was wrong, and according to his own definition, that means he is not fit to rule because he's doing wrong. And so therefore he doesn't consider himself a king, and he's willing to stoop because of it. And he doesn't think he deserves it. And then I haven't read it yet, but I think Henry V will kind of wrap it up in once again. Henry, I think, probably not relying on divine appointment, will say, yes, I do deserve to rule. I'm doing the right thing. I'm the most powerful person, and therefore I will rule, and I will not stoop to anyone. So yeah, since this is, if you say the king should stoop, you're saying he doesn't deserve to be king, and the way you say it, or when you say it, I don't know, the situation you say it, reveals your definition of what it means to deserve to rule. Alright, that's my notes. This video has been way too long. Sorry about that.